Okay, you guys, what is up? The King of Lightning is here today to do a One Piece discussion video. Now, this video is going to revolve around Haki. And the title of this video is This is Haki Stage 2. Now, before I get started, let me say a few things here and then we're going to hop right in. First things first. In the past, I did a video. And that video had the same title, This is Haki. But today, I just edited that video and I called it Stage 1. And that video is more so about Ken Bunshoku Haki and Busou Shoku Haki. And it revolves around mainly Sanji and Zoro. And how Sanji's fire and Zoro's illusions are probably forms of Haki. Now, if you guys haven't seen that video, there will be an annotation in the top left-hand corner of this video. That's number one. Number two is that this video will contain spoilers. So if you don't read the One Piece manga, and you are a follower of the anime and the anime only, then I suggest that you leave the video. I will give you guys 5 seconds, so don't tell me that, oh, I didn't warn you, I'm giving you a 5-second warning. Leave the damn video if you are not a reader of the manga. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, now, that's number 2. Number 3 is that the reason why this is called Stage 2, and the reason why I edited the previous video and called it Stage 1, again, annotation in the top left-hand corner, is because as the story progresses forward, One Piece, more stuff will be revealed about Haki. Because right now we don't have a full grasp of Haki. We know the 3 basics. We know Ken Bunshoku, we know Busou Shoku, and we know Hao Shoku. But there are specific things that these Hakis can do. And Oda has given us hints here and there. But when Oda starts to reveal more details about Haki, then I will do more One Piece discussion videos based on that. And I will give it the same title, This is Haki, only I will remod it as Stage 3, Stage 4, Stage 5, and so on and so forth as the One Piece story continues to progress. Now, that being said, that's pretty much it, so let's just go dive right in. So, what we see in One Piece chapter 716 is a clash of Conquerors Haki. Now, Diamante said that, and we're assuming that the translation was correct. Now, I use, of course, the better off scan sites, and we are assuming that they are correct in their translation. I don't see why not. So, again, that's the assumption. That Diamante actually said a clash of Conquerors Haki. Now, what's very important to note is that, so you know, let me go and recap. What we see is Don Chinjiao. We see Don Chinjiao and we see Monkey D. Luffy. They both use Busou Shoku hardened punches. The punches connect. The immediate force begins to crack the air around them. And then we see smaller panels of their faces. And then that immediate crack begins to expand. And it culminates the entire ring. And then Diamante says a clash of Conquerors Haki. Now, the key word that I'm going to use here is selective. Selective. Now, when we saw Rayleigh for the first time actually use Haki, he walked into the room, into the human shop audience crowd, and we saw Luffy fighting. We saw Luffy and the Straw Hats fighting with the guards there. Now, what did Rayleigh do? Rayleigh selectively chose the guards, and he specifically knocked them out. Not the Straw Hats, but them, the guards. Another example of this would be when Luffy was confronted by his fake counterpart. Luffy knocked out the fake counterpart and the fake Frankie and the fake Nami and the fake Usopp. But Luffy did not knock out the immediate civilians around him. So what's very important to note is that with Haki, Shoku Haki, one can pick and choose who to knock out. Now, what we saw, this clash, may have been even more selective. We see that Luffy and Chinjao, what they probably did was that they focused all of their will, because that's what Shoku Haki is, it's will. They focused all their will on each other. And the crack and the spark in the air was the confrontation of both Shoku Hakis trying to vie for dominance over the other. And that's what it is. The will of one individual gains dominance over another individual, and thus they get knocked out. But in this case, we have two Shoku Hakis trying to do the same thing, and they're tussling, and that tussle expanded the spark that was initially created by the Busou Shoku Hakis. So basically, the main gist of what I'm trying to get here is that with specific selective Shoku Haki, it appears that one may be able to enhance their attack strength even further. Now, another example of this selective Shoku Haki is probably the clash between Shanks and Whitebeard on Whitebeard's ship. Now, we all know the scene where Shanks walks up, Haki's up. You know, a little bit of Haki. Guys start to pass out, and their ship starts to, like, break down. Like, literally starts to break down. That notifies us that Shoku Haki has some destructive qualities. If Shanks can break down a substance, a material, using his will alone, that notifies us that, in fact, Shoku Haki has some destructive attributes. Now, what this means is that they could use selective Shoku Haki to enhance their attack power. And what happened when they clashed was that Whitebeard takes out his Chinese polearm, his massive Chinese polearm, swings. Shanks, one-hand sword, swings. They clash, and like there's a small shockwave. And like you guys should see the clip somewhere in the video. Now, what happens is that the sky splits. The damn sky splits. The reason why I state that this is probably a clash of Conquerors Haki is because of the fact that if a shockwave of that, think about it, the shockwave of these two, it would have expanded in a semicircular fashion, like most shockwaves do. Sometimes, with certain trajectory, a shockwave can go into the air, but it's still relatively in a semicircular fashion. But we didn't see a shockwave. We didn't see a shockwave go into the air. What we saw was the sky split. And the sky splitting may have been the tussle between Shanks' Conquerors Haki and Whitebeard's Conquerors Haki. Now, I remember that there was one scene in the anime, because I don't remember this happening in the manga. But in the anime, what we saw was that when Ace, when he was a child, when Luffy got hurt by one of the pirates, and they were in the junkyard heap, and there was fire all around him, Ace hakied up, and the immediate fire around him for a split second dissipated. And then once the Haki disengaged, it came back. So what's very important to know here, so there are several things that I just stated that are very important to know. The first thing is that Haki, which is Shoku Haki, which is will, which is to gain dominance over someone, may not just be for someone, but it may be for also other objects around them, which would explain as to why Shanks can break down a ship. Or, again, in the case of the anime, why the fire around Ace dissipated. Because Hao Shoku Haki may gain dominance over objects and energies as well. That's very important. Hao Shoku Haki may be able to affect things like trees and the nature around them, and other forms of energy like fire, light, and so on and so forth. It is to gain dominance. So basically, in a sense, with Hao Shoku Haki, one may be able to gain dominance over the immediate matter around them and energy around them. Right now, what we've seen is individuals gaining dominance over other individuals. But again, there are little hints here and there in the manga and anime which signify that Hao Shoku Haki may gain dominance over inanimate objects and energies as well. Furthermore, with selective Hao Shoku no Haki, one may be able to enhance their attack strength by either focusing all their will on the opponent or by focusing their will on the immediate energies around them. Therefore, that would explain as to why the selective cut in the sky occurred when Shanks and Whitebeard had their clash. Because that's way too selective. It is way too selective. And that would also explain as to why the immediate spark and energy that was created by Monkey D. Luffy and Don Chinjao when they first clashed. That would explain as to why that crack began to expand at an accelerated rate and culminate the entire ring. Because if in fact Hao Shoku Haki gains dominance over matter and energy, that would explain as to why the attack strength seemed to enhance 10 times over. Because the crack itself began to expand and culminate the entire ring. So who's to say that Shanks cannot control, because his Haki is like no other. Who's to say that Shanks' Haki cannot break down land masses, like mountains? By looking at a mountain, it could just break down, because Shanks is fucking there. Because he can target his will, and inanimate objects can just break down. You can train your Hao Shoku Haki. When you first get it, the thing about Hao Shoku Haki is that you cannot train to get it. But once you do get it, you can train it. So there are specific things that you can do with Hao Shoku Haki that Oda hasn't stated yet. But it appears that one can gain dominance over the matter and energy around them. That's what it appears to be at this point in time, at least from my perspective. So, and of course, that means that you need to be like very selective when it comes to your Hao Shoku Haki control. So, give me your thoughts on that. And I mean, Oda did say that, again, when it comes to Haki, Hao Shoku Haki, it knocks out those who are weaker than you. But again, because of Rayleigh's when he first came in there, and he selectively chose those he wanted to knock out. And when he told Luffy specifically, make sure that you know how to control your Hao Shoku Haki. Because if you don't know how to utilize it well, then you will knock out people around you. And that won't be a good thing at all. Because you won't have enough control over your Haki. So, specifically your Hao Shoku Haki. So, again, give me your thoughts on that. And let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And I'm done. King of Lightning. Be sure, of course, rate, comment, and subscribe as always. Peace. Have a nice day.